Hello Booktube, this is Rain and Read Stuff. I'm Debs. I'm going to talk to you today about week 4 of Garbaugust. Garbaugust, the brainchild of Olly at Olly. Plenty of other co-hosts, I'll list them all below. Although it's not the end of August, this is the end of the 4th week. So let's talk through what I've managed this week. This week I have read 4 physical books and 3 ebooks. And I've tried some new things, which is great. Let's start with the weekly prompts. Anything goes. So, anything did go. I tried this. Punkland by Carlton Merrick the Third. There's the back. Now this, the genre is Bizarro. I have never read any Bizarro before. Not sure I ever will again, to be honest. This was just weird. It starts off with a guy called Cal, who is a bit of a loser in life, and he's got a dead-end job in a video shop. His claim to fame is that he collects vibrators of different shapes and sizes and has set them up on his table to look like a cityscape. Each to his own, I suppose. Anyway, he gets hit by a bus and he dies. And he goes to heaven. But he gets excluded from heaven after throwing a vibrator. In fact, it's not only a vibrator, it's a vibrator with a soul. He throws that at God and he gets kicked out of heaven. And he ends up not in hell, but in Punkland, which is the punk's version of heaven and has been created and is run by Sid Vicious. That's the sensible part. And the rest of it, we've got punks, we've got drugs, we've got all sorts of weird images in here. The PBR Pogo Joust. That was fun. So, 4 teams of drunk fat guys on pogo sticks will hop around attempting to knock down jousters on the opposite team. If you fall down or are knocked down, you'll be eliminated. The game is over once there is only one team left standing. Whoever passes out first is the winner. Bizarro is just a bit for me, I'm afraid. It was mildly entertaining. I did laugh when... Oh, he's called Goblin, by the way, when he gets to heaven. God christens him Goblin. So I did laugh when Goblin threw a vibrator at God and was excluded. I don't think Bizarro is for me, really. My second Anything Goes was this, Kansas Fury by Chuck Adams. I read this because it had adverts in it. It didn't have the required cigarette advert in it, but it did. Oh no, this is the one with adverts in it. But anyway, I don't read westerns. I've never read westerns before, and I really enjoyed this. It was entertaining. I liked the characters in it. I liked the storyline. I've got some more. I've not got any more Chuck Adams, but I've got some more westerns, and I'll certainly be giving those another go because I didn't know I liked them because I'd never read them before. 2 and 6 this was. There's not a date in it, so I don't know when it was published. But those are my 2 anything goes for this week. So, green pen. Anything goes is checked off. Where shall we start? We might as well start in the top corner, I suppose. A Richard Lehman book. Something else that's new to me. I've never read any Richard Lehman before. This one is short stories, or at least the second half is short stories. It's called Fiends, by the way. It was published in 1997. The first is more of a novella. It runs to about 40 odd short chapters, and that is the titular Fiends. That hadn't been published before this. The others in the book had been published before. The short stories had each been published somewhere else, and they'd been collected together for this volume. I really enjoyed it. I didn't know anything about Richard Lehman, but it says on the front, if you've missed Lehman, you've missed a treat, says Stephen King. So who am I to argue with Stephen King? I did think these were very entertaining. The first one, Fiends, is it's about, well, it starts off with a girl who at 15 was raped by this bloke who broke into her house, and then 10 years later she sees him in the back of a cinema when she has gone to the cinema with her boyfriend, and he's after her again. What will happen? Who knows? No, but this was good. So, a Richard Lehman book checked off. Right, a book with nudity on the cover. For that, I chose an ebook, and I actually enjoyed this very much as well. This was Ed McBain's So Nude, So Dead. It was Ed McBain's very first novel, published early to mid-50s. It was in the Hard Case Crime novel series. It's not an 87th Precinct one. And it won the MWA Grandmaster's first crime novel. And this is the story of a promising pianist who becomes addicted to heroin and is in a complete mess. His girlfriend has abandoned him. His father has abandoned him. He wakes up in a hotel room with a club singer who he'd taken home that night, or she'd taken him home, and he'd gone mainly because she had heroin. Anyway, he wakes up, he's looking for his fix. It takes him a while, but eventually he notices that she's actually dead, and she has been shot twice. He didn't wake up, and therefore he presumes there was a silencer on the gun that shot her. The heroin has disappeared, which I think he's more upset about than the dead girl. He scarpers to try and get a fix somewhere else, and the police arrive and they are holding him responsible for the murder. So he has to A, get his fix, and B, prove his innocence. Very entertaining, really good. I enjoyed that very much, and there was definitely a nude on the cover, albeit a dead one. Book with nudity. Check. Now, a book about gangs. I picked this up. Well, I didn't pick it up. It was given to me along with a lot of these penguins by an old lady she'd previously given me the complete set of Charles Dickens, actually. She sadly died recently, But she gave me these, and this was included among it. It's called Cut and Run. It's by someone called Bill McGee. As far as I can tell, he's never written anything else. This is about life in the mid-40s. The war is still going on in Glasgow in the tenement slums. And each area has its own gang. And I don't know whether this is autobiographical or not, but Bill McGee writes from the perspective of a character called Bill McGee. And he doesn't want to be in a gang, but his best friend since a very early age is an absolute psychopath called Bernard, Ben for short. And it's about their life in the slum areas and the trouble they get into. Bill mainly gets into trouble because of Ben and tries to extricate himself from the gang life. It was really good. It's really gritty. Like I say, there's obviously an element of truth in it if it isn't autobiographical. I couldn't find anything online to say whether it was or it wasn't, but it was gripping and I really enjoyed it. That's probably my favourite book of this week, and it's a book about gangs. So that's checked off. Ebook for a book about Satanists. Lucy the Satanist, a novella by Elizabeth Bedlam. Obviously not her real name. This was truly awful. It was just the oddest thing. It was more awful than Punkland, which was just weird and I didn't really understand it, but it wasn't dreadful. This was dreadful. Lucy is a 13-year-old girl, and her mother has dumped her on the doorstep of her older sister, who is 20, and disappeared off the face of the earth. She's gone to earn her fortune somewhere and doesn't come back. Lucy's sister works in a nightclub as a dancer and also is quite politically active and campaigns against things like attempts to shut down abortion clinics. The group she runs with, who are all protesters, claim that they are Satanists. They're really not Satanists. They sit around, they make a lot of noise, and they protest. They clash with the church protesters, who also protest outside the abortion clinic for it to be closed down. And two of the church protesters live next door with their daughter, who is 9. Her name's Becky. To start with, for a protagonist to be 13 years old and her friend to be 9, the language in this book is appalling. I'm not sure who it's written for. I can swear with the best of them. I just don't think it's appropriate around children. And the language they use it's more hardcore swearing, shall we say. Lucy finds a dog. The dog is a stray. The dog is filthy. It's covered in fleas. It takes a shine to her. It turns out dog talks. Dog is the devil. And it's called Les. And Les persuades Lucy to do all sorts of dreadful things, like smash shrines up and vandalise both the abortion clinic and the church, and all I can say about that book is I was glad it was short. It just wasn't very nice, but it was a book with Satanists. By the way, Les the Devil didn't like the Satanists. Neither did he like the church. In fact, he didn't really appear to like anybody. I suppose that's what comes of being the devil, really. But anyway, book with Satanists, checked. A vigilante book. Another online one. This one was called Vigilante. And this was a first for me because it was a comic book. I don't think I've ever read a comic book. Well, not since I used to deliver them on a paper round when I was about 13. Then I used to read everybody's comics before I shut them in the door. But this was Vigilante by Mary Wolfman. And it's a DC comic, and it was volume 1. So the first section told the story of the district attorney who was after prosecuting some gang members, and one of them caused an explosion in his house which killed his wife and 2 children and left him seriously injured. And Robin, of Batman and Robin fame, and the Teen Titans attempt to try and bring him justice. Right at the end, he turns into the Vigilante, and the rest of the volume are various stories about him becoming this sort of superhero, although he does kill people and he's really not meant to. But he's going after people who have escaped justice. So they've either been convicted of crimes and then let off because an appeal judge is a bit dodgy, or they've managed to worm their way out of their conviction in some other way. And the Vigilante, obviously previously district attorney, doesn't like this at all and decides the only thing to do is to wipe them off the face of the earth, which probably isn't hero status, but he thinks he's doing the world a service. So, Vigilante book. Now, this obviously still leaves a gaping great hole for the one with the cigarette ad. I think I've done quite well. I'm going to do a wrap up on August 31st because I still hold out some hope of this, she says confidently. The books I ordered last week arrived. They were lovely. They were great. I'm going to really enjoy reading them, but none of them had an advert in them at all. So I've shelved those for the time being, and I have ordered one more selection from World of Books, which thankfully is second-hand books, and they are really, really cheap. They were also 3 for the price of 2, I think. Anyway, I have some westerns coming. Now, in the UK, it's bank holiday weekend, so tomorrow is a bank holiday. There's no post on bank holiday Monday. They could arrive Tuesday, but I think it's more likely they arrive Wednesday or Thursday. So I am banking on the fact that at least one of them will have a cigarette ad in it, and I will be able to read it by close of play on Thursday, because Garbaugust finishes then. I don't think I've done too badly though. There's only that one missing, and I have done a separate book for every single one of these. But anyway, enough of that, because I will do a full wrap up on Thursday, later on Thursday, once I know whether or not I've got a cigarette ad book. So that's it. It's almost the end of Garbaugust. and I'm not quite there, but there is a small chance I might get there. Thank you for popping by. I hope you've been enjoying Garbaugust as much as I have. If you like the video, please press like or subscribe if you'd like to, because I'd love to have lots of people to chat to. For the time being, have a lovely week, and I will speak to you again soon. Bye for now.